web security analytic for more than 4 years. This is a brief information about me. Today I'm going to present about best practices of web application security. All web developers used to work in their own ways using custom libraries, including implementation systems. So now we'll see what they should do and should not do based on best practices. So these are the statistics of vulnerabilities, and if we look at the statistics of risk levels for the past 3 years, we'll see that in 2010, high-level vulnerabilities have been growing up to 66%. While low-level vulnerabilities have been fallen down up to 31%. So these are top 10 high-level vulnerabilities, and as time is too short, we'll cover only first five of them. So what is cross-site scripting? It's when attacker injects this code into the web page. That code may be any front-end in any front-end language like JavaScript, HTML, CSS. So here's an example of that. Like instead of searching like Britney Spears, attacker injects putting JavaScript code and it runs. So there are two types of XSS. One is non-persistent, second is persistent. Non-persistent is when attacker runs the code, but no changes can be done in that web page. So here is an example of that. Like attacker sends this URL address to a victim, and while victim enjoys that topic, attacker steals cookies and gain access to his or her profile. Next one is persistent. So in this case, that executable code is stored in a web page database. So it runs every time the web page tries to fetch the data from the database. And common types are comments, chat messages, email messages, wall posts, etc. Here is an example of that. Like at the first look, you see no difference. There is no difference between these two comments. But let's see at the raw format of the attacker's comment. So we will see that there is a JavaScript code there, which may be anything. These are potential dangerous HTML elements. Tags, attributes, tags like applet, body, iframe, image, style, and attributes like style, ref, large search, and also potential dangerous HTML events like on mouse move, on click, on error, and all HTML events are potentially dangerous. So solutions are using PHP functions like script tags and using PHP input filter, or using famous libraries, PHP libraries like HTML safe, safe HTML checker, cases, and so on. But the best solution is using HTML purifier provided by O's company, which is safe, clean, and open. So if we look at the comparison of the following PHP functions and libraries, you will see that only HTML purifier has the following features, like it uses whitelist, it's well formed, it is XSS safe, uses attributes, and so on. Information leakage. Information is the most expensive thing in the world. So if your application reveals sensitive data about your web application or about your web environment, then your application is not secure. So here is an example of that. This error message can be used by the attacker to implement local file inclusion. It consists of the entry listing misconfiguration, improper error handling, improper file path handling, and the using sensitive HTML comments. So, enabling directory listing allows attacker to list all the files and folders within a directory. Here is an example of that. Like here are all files and folders in the admin directory, and the attacker can explore in that folder. Next is improper error handling. Everything is based on request and response. So, due to unexpected request, will be generated error messages. And for example, this error message can be used by a hacker to implement SQL injection. So you must handle that error messages. Improper file type handling. This allows your important files to be readable for everyone. These kind of files are compressed files which may contain your database backup, or a file which holds the output of the PHP info function, which holds all the information about your PHP configuration, about your web server environment. Here is an example of that. Like a lot of web developers use this extension to include it in their files, and as that extension is unknown and it's not configured, so web server will output the raw format, raw source code of that. So attacker can see what is it in that. Like here it's the class which is used to connect web application to database. Sensitive HTML comments. Web developers use comments to leave notes, important notes, which will help them in after a long time to manage their files. And if those notes are containing sensitive data and they are in HTML, they can be read by the attacker. For example, here in this example, attacker sees what kind of file types are in blacklist. So we can avoid that, upload any other files that is not in this blacklist. So, best solution for directory listing misconfiguration is, if you don't have access to your web server, it may be Apache, it can be anything else, you can put a blank index file, it may be index HTML file, index PHP file, in your directories, which will protect your directories to be listed. The next one is, the next way is to put a file, htaccess file, in a directory which will contain the following line of code. It is options minus indexes. But you must know that all the directories, all subdirectories in that folder will have the same configuration, which is directory listing turned off. Next one is improper error handling. The solution is to configure your PHP file. If you have access to your PHP configuration file, you must set the following settings. Like error reporting should be EO. It means all error messages should be generated. But those messages should not be displayed in the screen. That's why you must set display errors to off. But those messages should be logged in a file. That's why you must set log errors to on, and set in this error log settings the path, the file name where should be generated all those error messages. Or if you don't have access to your PHP configuration files, you may just create htaccess file in your public HTML directory, which will contain all the following lines of code. you don't need to keep your important files that have the following file types in your public web directory, because they are readable by outside, by everyone. If you have some system which generate backups of your files or your database, after downloading that backup, you must delete them. So you don't need to have their important files which are compressed files like zebra, DZ, anything else, or database files like SQL, CBS, XML, online files like include, copy, backup, because a lot of web developers used to name their files that want to backup, like .bqp. It's a known file type, so everyone can read the content of the file. What about sensitive HTML comments? Unlike the PHP or any backend programming languages, HTML is client-side, and whatever is in that code is visible for everyone, and anyone can just view the source code and see the sensitive data. So no sensitive data must be used using HTML comments. What about SQL injection? This is where attacker injects his custom SQL query into the application query. So using that, the attacker gets sensitive data from the database, or if that user, MySQL user, has privileges, that query can read or write a file in the web server. So here is an example of that. Like this query will show the name of the database of the it may be MySQL, it may be any other database, type of database. There are two types of SQL injection. One is normal, traditional, and second one is blind. The difference is that in normal SQL injection, attacker sees all the desired output in the string, like it may be the name, the usernames, passwords from the database, maybe anything. Here is an example of that. Like this query shows the username of the MySQL username, the database name, and also the database version, which is too important. Next one is blind SQL injection. Unlike the normal SQL injection, this doesn't get any data from the database. The only thing it gets is negative or positive or negative response from the database. So in this example, the database server will respond positive reply only if the version of the database server is 5, equal to 5, otherwise it will send a negative response. So solutions are using the following configuration, like magic code GPC should be on. It means web server will add backslashes to all special characters, like in single quotes or in double quotes. It will protect your web application. Next one is using filter var function in PHP, or using MySQL really escape string, or even using screen-type function. All your variables should be into the quotes, which will help also. And for all MySQL users should be assigned only minimum privileges. If your user should only get some data from the database,